Okay, let me just check and see what's going on. Nope. Sorry, I'm just trying to correct my. Okay. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Law, and we are going to begin with our expedited accusation calendar for today, December 29th. And this is a list of misdemeanor cases in which individuals were recently arrested and booked at the Fulton County Jail. Soon thereafter, the cases were formally accused by the prosecutor, who is the Solicitor General's Office of Fulton County. When I call your case, I will let you know what is your new accusation number, what are the charges brought against you, to appoint counsel for you if you do not have an attorney with you today, and also to set a bond if one has not been set or if the bond needs to be modified. Please remember that if you are charged with a misdemeanor offense or offenses, you have a right to remain silent about the facts of your case. Anything you choose to discuss during the course of this virtual proceeding, your statements can and will be used against you. This entire proceeding is being recorded and live streamed, so please be cautious about what you say. And if you have to have a discussion, please make that with your attorney only. Speaking of attorneys, you have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. Now, with respect to bonds, some of you may qualify for what we call a signature bond. That's a bond in which you would not have to pay to be released, but you would need to comply with certain strict conditions. Failure to comply with those conditions can result in a revocation of your signature bond, a bench warrant being issued for your arrest, and you would have to pay to be released from jail the next time. Others may qualify for what we call a surety bond or a cash bond. Those type of bonds may also have conditions, and you would have to pay either out of your own pocket or through a bonding company in order to be released. If you receive a surety or cash bond, you will also receive a court date. And our next court date, Ms. Bridgewater?
January the 11th, 2024.
Thank you. Our next court date will be January 11th, 2024 at 9 a.m. And most likely that will also be a virtual proceeding where a Zoom link would be required in order to attend that proceeding. All right, let's begin with position courtroom 2. Who do we have?
Good afternoon, Judge Law. This is going to be number 8, Ms. Kurlava.
Right. Do we have any cases that need an interpreter or need a breakout, anything to that effect?
No.
Okay. Karina Krylova is charged with battery under accusation 23 CR 8441Y from December 29th, 2023. Ms. Krylova, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Angelo Dodes. And any priors, Ms. Hardy?
This defendant has one arrest cycle in Georgia. The last arrest was December the 5th, 2022 out of Cobb County for a probation violation. And the recommendation from pretrial is a UJR level 2. Nothing further to report.
All right, thank you. Ms. Huda?
Thank you, Your Honor. That is correct. And in regards to what pretrial just reported, I also cannot see the underlying offense that is the result, or the probation violation is the result of, but I can say it is in state court. So
Okay.
It's likely a misdemeanor. Your Honor, this offense did occur this morning, 12:29 around 12:30 at Johnny's Hideaway, located at 3771 Roswell Road. The defendant was there drinking and got into an argument with another patron at Johnny's Hideaway who goes by the name Hortensia Corbian, Corbian. They got into a verbal argument about one of them taking the other one's seat at the bar. The verbal argument escalated, and the defendant is alleged to have swung at the victim, striking her in the face, causing a laceration and bleeding. Your Honor, it currently looks like she is recommended for a $3,500 surety bond. The state has no objection to have modifying that to a signature bond. We would ask, though, for a stay away from Johnny's Hideaway and no further contact with the victim, Miss Hortensia Corbian. and that she undergo an anger management course while out on bond, no alcohol or drugs.
Mr. Dotis, do you represent Ms. Krylova today for first appearance?
My apologies, I was muted. Your Honor, our office will represent Ms. Kirilova for today, but she does not qualify for our services moving forward.
Okay, in that case, I don't think I'm doing her a great injustice by making her stay away from Johnny's Hideaway. The bond is going to be $2,000. It's a signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. To stay away from, what was that address again? 3771 Roswell Road, the iconic Johnny's Hideaway, and no contact with Hortensia Cobian, no illegal drugs. Ms. Krylova, no alcohol until further order of the court. You may be subject to random screen, so please be aware that at least from the New Year's and onwards, no consumption of illegal drugs and alcohol, and no firearms. And your next court date will be sent to your current mailing address. And we have that as Stonecutters Cove or Lane. Is that your correct address?
Stonecutters Cove, Stockbridge.
Okay, yeah, so that is where we will send you notice. Please be aware that this is an active case against you. You may want to retain counsel for your next court appearance.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're done.
And do not return to Johnny's Hideaway. It'll be sad if you get arrested again for trespass.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Number 2, Collins.
Mr. Collins is Justin Collins, and his case is 23 CR 8444A. This is a traffic incident for an expired tag and a violation of the Georgia hands-free law. Okay, I gotta say, this is the first time I've seen an arrest in a long, long time on these 2 charges from December 28th, 2023. Mr. Collins, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Finley. Ms. Waldrop, any particular reason why he was arrested? Quite frankly, I was amazed.
Your Honor, I too was trying to determine exactly what led to the arrest. I do only see just the citations. I believe maybe there may have been warrants on another case, but I cannot find that case in our system.
Pretrial, okay, does he have okay, he's got a unrelated felony matter as well. Okay, so with regards to this, it'll be a $250 bond on each count, of $500 signature bond through the jail. And then he can take it up with felony court. Mr. Collins, your bond is $500 signature bond through the jail. Do not drive unless you've got a valid driver's license, valid insurance, and a current registration and license plate and tag on the vehicle. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And also, while you are driving, you are never to hold or touch a phone device or any kind of smart device.
Okay.
Leave it in the trunk, because apparently you need to learn not to drive with one.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
It was 500.
Total, 250 in each count, yeah.
Thank you.
Third row.
Number 1, Buford.
Third row.
This is Dante Buford, charged with 4 misdemeanor offenses arising from a traffic matter of December 28, 2023. Accusations 23 CR 8443G. Mr. Buford, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Zach Finley. And Ms. Hardy, any arrest cycles, please?
This defendant has 34 arrest cycles, a felony conviction in 2023 for theft by taking, 2021 possession of controlled substance in a drug-free zone, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and during the commission of a felony, possession of cocaine, 2017 possession of cocaine, misdemeanor conviction in 2017 for battery, 2023 battery family violence.
Oh, that's good. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay,
Miss Waldrop? Yes, Miss Waldrop?
Yes, yes, Judge. Good afternoon, Judge, and happy
Good
holidays.
You too?
Your Honor, with respect to this particular defendant, in addition to those 34 cycles, I counted at least 7 probation violations within that. We obviously, as the state, don't believe he's a good candidate for bond, but given that he is entitled to one with respect to count 1, the tag violation, we'll be asking for a $500 good bond. With respect to count 2, the fleeing and eluding, we'll be asking for a $3,000 good bond. The improper lane change, a $500 good bond. And on the driving while license suspended, a $1,000 good bond. Additional conditions that the state would be requesting is that the defendant not be allowed to drive without a valid license, have no drugs or alcohol while out on bond, and no firearms or weapons on or about his person.
All right. Mr. Finley?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Buford is 38 years old, Judge. He does work full-time for a moving company and does have one son that he helps take care of. He does have friends and family in Atlanta, so he does have community ties, Your Honor, and I do have a good address for him. Judge, he assured me that he does not have anybody to help him bond out, so I was going to ask for a signature bond on his behalf, but I understand if you're not willing to do that, if you could get a $1,000 total surety bond, Your Honor.
All right. On the count 1 is 500. Count 2, driving and fleeing and attempting to elude, is 1,000. Count 3 is 500. Count 4, driving while license suspended revoked, is 1,000. Total bond is going to be $3,000. It is a surety bond. Next court date is January 11th, and he's got a court appearance before Judge Mather on January 9th. We would need to let Judge Mather's division know that if he is still in detention, that he needs to be transported. But he's got a court appearance in case 22 CR 005125G. I can reset both cases to the January 11th calendar. And Ms. Bridgewater will need to let Judge Mather's division know that both cases can be heard at SAP.
Will do, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And that was 22 CR 005125G. However, if Mr. Buford does make bond before January 9th, Mr. Buford, you are noticed that you have a court appearance with Judge Mather on January 9th at 9:30 a.m. in courtroom 2E. So be sure not to miss that one. Thank you. Oh, and no driving unless you have a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration. Thank you.
So that was 3,000.
3,000, yes, sir.
So until I go through the bonding company?
You can go through a bonding company, but you cannot drive because your license is suspended.
All right, thank you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, Colquitt.
DeMarcus Colquitt is 23 CR 8445H, charged with simple battery domestic family violence from December 3rd, 2023. Mr. Colquitt, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Finley. Any priors, Ms. Hardy?
this defendant has 7 arrest cycles in Georgia, felony conviction in 2005 for terroristic threats and acts. Where they received first offender treatment, it was sealed in 2017. The last arrest was February 28th, 2015 out of Atlanta for possession of marijuana less than an ounce and driving while license suspended. The recommendation from pretrial is a UJR level 3. Nothing further to report.
All right, thank you. Ms. Waldrop?
Yes, Your Honor. Just a brief factual basis before I give the state's recommendation. Your Honor, this particular incident stems these charges stem from an incident that occurred in which the defendant slapped the victim, Ms. Williams, who is on the Zoom right now, multiple times. They do share children together. With respect to the state's recommendation on bond, we would be asking for $2,500 good or surety bond with the conditions that he have no further contact with Ms. Williams, stay away from 2524 MLK Junior Drive, complete an anger management class, have no drugs or alcohol while out on bond, and no firearms or weapons on or about his person.
Ms. LaShanta Williams, if you want to address the court, you would need to unmute, otherwise you can remain silent. Is Ms.
Hello, I'm
Williams,
here.
did you want to address the court or would you like to?
No, I can address the court.
Please raise your right hand.
Oh,
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
yes, ma'am.
All right. And do you share 3 children together?
Yes, we do.
And have you started divorce proceedings?
No, I don't want a divorce. I'm not afraid of him at all. Like I just said, this is no issue. We can still live together. You know, we actually talked and went past that. I agree with anger management or something to that standard, but no further.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. What
I
anger
said I
management?
agree with maybe like an anger management class, but nothing further.
Oh, so you do not dispute the description of the event that the prosecutor just gave me?
I'm sorry, I can't hardly hear you. Can you say that one more time?
The prosecutor just told me of what allegedly happened on December 3rd, 2023, stemming from an argument between you and Mr. Colquitt.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have any dispute with those statements, do you?
No.
Okay, thank you. You may mute your Zoom, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Finley?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Colquitt is 44 years old. He does work full-time at Yard House at the Battery. As we did just hear, he's been with Miss Williams. They've actually been together for 24 years. And they do have, I believe, 3 kids together. As far as I've heard, this is the first case that he's had involving her. And some of the charges we did hear that he has faced are far remote. They have been living together, Judge, for years with nothing happening. She made a point to tell me that this is not something that has happened before, that she is not scared of him, and that she wants to continue to live with him and raise their kids together. And he is the prime and only sole supporter of their family. So they do need to have him. Judge, so I was going to ask for no further violent contact, for there not to be a stay away. And I was going to ask for a signature bond on Mr. Colquitt's behalf. But if not inclined, Your Honor, then a $1,000 surety bond.
All right. Bond's going to be set at $3,500. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services level 1. There shall be no violent contact with LaShanta Williams. He may return to the marital home. He is not to consume any alcohol, no illegal drugs, and not own any firearms. If he owns any firearms, they must be removed from the home and surrendered to the police for destruction. While he is out on a signature bond, there shall be no physical or verbal altercations with LaShanta Williams. If the police get involved in the future and he's arrested again, that will result in his signature bond being revoked, and he would have to pay for his bond the next time. He's to report to pretrial once a month, and within 30 days of being released, he's to enroll in a domestic violence intervention program. That the proof of enrollment must be shown to his pretrial officer by his second visit with pretrial. And he must complete that DVIP, and this would be a condition of bond and not a condition of the outcome of the case. Thank you.
Number 4, Hurt.
Tristan Hurt is 23 CR 8446F, and he has been arrested from a December 28th, 2023 incident, charged with reckless conduct, willful obstruction of an officer, and possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce. Mr. Hurt, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Finlay. Yes, Ms. Hardy, how many cycles, if any?
This defendant has 4 arrest cycles in Georgia. The last arrest was April 24th, 2022 out of Clayton for driving while license suspended or revoked and possession of marijuana with intent. And the recommendation from pretrial is a UJR level 3.
All right, and Ms. Waldrop? I'm sorry, you're on mute.
I apologize, Judge. Yes, I do show a 2022 simple battery conviction as the most recent conviction. With respect to this case, Your Honor, officers were attempting to arrest Mr. Hurt when he took off running. That is the basis for the obstruction count. And during his flee from police officers, he discarded a loaded handgun in a public parking lot with multiple people at that location, multiple vehicles at that location. And that is the basis for that reckless conduct charge. Your Honor, with respect to bond, the state would be requesting on the possession of marijuana less than an ounce, $500 good bond. On the obstruction of law enforcement officer, a $1,500 good bond. And on the reckless conduct count, given that this was a loaded firearm discarded in a public parking lot that was crowded and full of people, a $10,000 good bond. We'd also be asking for the following conditions: that the defendant have no drugs or alcohol while out on bond, and no firearms and no weapons on or about his person.
Right, Mr. Finley?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Hurt is 23 years old, Your Honor. He is a high school graduate and has been in Atlanta for 10 years. He has friends here. He has family here. So he does have community ties, Your Honor. I do have a good address for him, and he assured me that moving forward, he would be coming back to court and does want to fight this charge. He has his own clothing line, Judge, and works full time, and he uses that to help support himself and his 4-year-old son. I am going to ask Judge for, with all the charges together, a $1,500 surety bond, Your Honor. Finances are an issue in his life. He doesn't have friends. He doesn't have family that's able to help him. So while I do understand the seriousness of the charges, a bond like $10,000 might as well be $100,000 because he's not going to be even
Yes,
close.
there'll be no bond. Understood. Okay. With regards to bond, on the possession of marijuana is $100, on the willful obstructions $1,000, and on the reckless conduct is $1,500. His total bond is $2,600, and that is a surety bond. Condition to the bond is that he must relinquish possession of any and all firearms. He's not allowed to have any firearms on his person, in his home, in any vehicle he occupies, or anywhere near him. So if anybody else in his home legally owns a gun, either he goes or the gun goes. I mean, it's not a conundrum. And his next court date will be January 11th. Thank you.
Number 6 and 7, joiners.
All right, Mr. Isaac Joyner has two
Has 3
cases.
cases, Your Honor.
3 cases, yeah. Okay.
5, 6, and 7.
That's what I thought. Okay. Mr. Isaac Joyner, you have 3 separate cases with us stemming from September 17th to August 14th and then December 26th of 2023. So let's begin with the first one. Your first accusation is 23 CR 8447Y, accused of simple battery family violence from September 17th, 2023. You have a earlier charge of simple battery family violence from August 14, 2023, and that accusation is 23 CR 8448Y. All right, will Tabitha Henderson please mute your phone? Miss Grace, please, thank you. And the third case is 23 CR 8449Y, and this stems from a December 26, 2023 incident, and the charges are 2 counts of battery and 1 count of cruelty in the 3rd degree. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say about these cases, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you this afternoon is Mr. Zach Findling. Ms. Hardy, any priors, please?
This defendant has 5 arrest cycles in Georgia. The last arrest was June the 5th of this year out of Fulton County for criminal trespass. That case is open. The number is 23 CR 003596Y. They also appear to be on probation for a DUI and driving while license suspended or revoked. That case number is 21 CR 007613E. The recommendation from pretrial is a UJR level 2 with wraparound services. Nothing further to report.
All right, thank you, Ms. Hardy. Ms. Waldron?
Yes, Judge. In addition to what pretrial read out, I do want to inform the court that the defendant has a 2016 failure to appear. He's got a 2023 battery family violence arrest, although there's no disposition on the GCIC at this time, as well as a 2023 probation violation. With respect to the August 14th case, Judge, that particular case started with an argument that escalated after the victim, Ms. Henderson, disengaged and left the location. The defendant, who was intoxicated and had been drinking, per Ms. Henderson, then followed her to the gas station where he was actually seen on surveillance video slapping her repeatedly. Do you want me to continue with the other cases and all?
Yes, just,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
just allocate all 3 of them.
Yes, absolutely, Judge. And then Judge, approximately 30 days later in September of this year, on the 17th, the defendant once again picked up another simple battery charge with Ms. Henderson. He escalated this time to not only grabbing Ms. Henderson by the neck, but also pushing her. And that forms the basis for that second case. Your Honor, according to Ms. Henderson, Mr. Joyner, all of these incidents are precipitated by drinking. And so that'll be part of the bond conditions that we asked for. Now, with respect to the final case, Judge, this occurred when the defendant got into first a verbal argument that then turned physical with Miss Joanna Lowe, as well as Miss Kenya Mitchell, who is a juvenile. The defendant punched Miss Lowe repeatedly, causing 2 black eyes as well as a bloody nose. With respect to Miss Mitchell, the defendant also assaulted her and punched her and threw a Bluetooth speaker at her. This then caused facial bruising to Ms. Mitchell, as well as a bloody nose. And so, Your Honor, based on the history with the FTAs, the probation violations, the prior battery family violence arrest, the open case, the criminal trespass case, the 3 cases on the calendar, the state would be requesting on the case ending in 448Y on the simple battery count, a $2,500 surety bond with the conditions that the defendant have no further contact with Ms. Tabitha Henderson, stay away from the location of 3750 Campbellton Road, complete an anger management class, have no drugs or alcohol while out on bond, be subject to random screens, and have no firearms or weapons while out on bond. With respect to the case ending in 449Y, the state would be requesting on the battery count $3,500 surety bond, count 1. On count 2, a $3,500 surety bond. On count 3, the cruelty to children, because this incident did occur in front of Ms. Lowe's 2 children, a $2,000 surety bond. And we'd be asking for no further contact with Ms. Joanna Lowe or Ms. Kenya Mitchell, to stay away from 3050 Mount Gilead Road, have no drugs or alcohol while out on bond, and no firearms or weapons on or about his person. And finally, Judge, with respect to the case ending in 447Y, on that simple battery count, the state would be requesting a $3,000 surety bond, that the defendant have no further contact with Tabitha Henderson, stay away from the address of 3750 Campbellton Road, complete anger management, have no drugs or alcohol, be subject to random screens, and have no firearms or weapons on or about his person.
All right. Hope I can keep track of all these numbers. Mr. Finley?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Joyner is 31 years old, Your Honor. He is born and raised in Atlanta. So he does have family here. He has friends here. He does have community ties. As we did hear, the alleged victim is his fiance, and they've been together for a year now, and they did have plans to get married in the future.
Which
My
one?
client,
I'm sorry, which one? We have two victims here, a Miss Lowe and a Miss Henderson.
oh, I'm sorry, I was referring to Miss Henderson, Judge.
Miss Henderson, okay, sorry, I just wanted to clarify. Please
Yes, ma'am.
proceed.
I apologize. Yes, Judge, and Mr. Joyner does have 4 kids, of which he does try his best to financially support, albeit very difficult. He's been working full-time in a warehouse, Judge, and while I do understand most definitely the concerning nature of these charges, I certainly do. He stressed to me that finances are an issue in his life. So I am going to ask for as low of a bond as possible, Your Honor, for him. Once again, do understand you're kind of, put in a spot here where he is facing multiple charges. He did assure me, and I really stressed to him the importance of showing up to court, and he assured me that he would. I did speak to Ms. Henderson. I know she did want to speak on his behalf, Judge.
All right. Miss Grace, if you can, I don't know whether she's still on the Zoom. Yeah, if you could prompt the Zoom panel, Tabitha Henderson, to start video and unmute, please. Tabitha Henderson, if you want to say something, you would need to unmute and start your video.
Sorry.
All right. Did you want to contribute to the proceeding? Did you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you have 2 devices going?
No, ma'am. Just one. I just put it on speaker because I couldn't hear. Well, I can put it up to my ear, but then you couldn't see me talk.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, the Public Defense Counsel indicated you wanted to add something. What would you like to say?
Yes. I just wanted to say I'm fine with him coming back home. I like the suggestion of the class. I'm fine with him coming back home. He does help out a lot around the house. He pays half of the bills and everything else. And he's never been, aggressive to my kids or anything. I'm not scared of him. So it's okay for him to come home.
But he's allegedly been aggressive towards you.
I mean, like I said, as long as I've talked to him, as long as he's going to take those classes and
what if he doesn't take those classes?
Then he's going to get out.
Then he's going to get out of what?
He's going to move out.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've already had this conversation.
Okay. So if he doesn't take the classes, then it doesn't matter whether he contributes to the bills or not.
No.
I thought so. All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Anderson. Appreciate your input. Mr. Joyner, what concerns me is that number one, 3 cases in a short period of time involving at least 3 separate victims, in addition to which you've got a probation hold in a prior case for in which you pled guilty to criminal trespass causing damage to property. He does have a probation hold in case number 21 CR 007613E. On the first case, position number 5, on the simple battery, the bond is going to be $2,500, and that's going to be a surety bond. In the second case, simple battery family violence, that's going to be a $2,500 surety bond. And in the third case, with 2 counts of battery and the cruelty to children in the 3rd degree, count 1 is going to be a $3,000 surety bond. Count 2 is going to be a $3,000 surety bond, and count 3 is going to be a $2,000 surety bond. For positions 5 and 6, he's to have no contact with Tabitha Henderson. He's to stay away from 3070 Campbellton Road in Atlanta, Georgia. He may return to that location one time only with a police officer escort in order to retrieve his personal belongings. Otherwise, he's to stay 200 yards away from that location from Miss Tabitha Henderson. And if he has children with Miss Henderson, he shall file a legitimation action with the Superior Court in order to get a court order to establish visitation and custody and child support for the children that he shares with Tabitha Henderson. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and you're not to own any firearms. If you do make bond, you'll be required to enroll in a domestic violence intervention program within 60 days of being released. Also, if you do make bond, you are to update the court with your new mailing address within 30 days of being released. With regards to position 7, you are to have no contact with Miss, I think it was Kenya Mitchell, and is it Wanda Lowe? I'm sorry, Miss Waldrop, you're on mute.
Yes, I'm sorry, Judge. Ms. Lowe's first name is Joanna. I have Jawana.
Okay.
And
So
Ms.
no-
Mitchell's first name is, I have Kenya or Kenyaya, Canyia.
Fine. Okay. So he's to have no contact with these two individuals, Miss Joanna Lowe and Miss Mitchell. He's to stay 200 yards away also from 3050 Mount Gillian Road in Atlanta, Georgia. No illegal drugs, no weapons, and no firearms. The DVIP requirement also is imposed there, and this will be concurrent to the bond condition in positions 5 and 6. If you're unable to make bond, these cases will be heard at the SAP calendar on January 11th at 9 a.m. And Miss Bridgewater, along with these 3 cases, we will also reset this other case, 23 CR 003-596Y. That's his open case for criminal trespass causing damage to property. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Bricola Jackson, if you want to unmute.
Hey,
Hello. Yes, Miss Jackson, how are you related to this case?
I'm his sister. I'm
Okay.
Sanaya Mitchell mother.
Sanaya Mitchell's mother. Okay. If you'd like to raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Could you please raise your device a little bit? You're not dressed appropriately for court. Okay. What would you like to tell us? I can't hear you.
That's my brother. I don't feel like he gonna do nothing harmful or anything anyway. He just need help. I don't want him to have no contact order on him against my daughter, because that's still his niece. He was just going through some stuff and he was drunk.
I understand, Ms. Jackson, but the bond is not only with regards to Kanaya, it's also with regards to other victims. And he's got multiple cases open, and he has a prior open case in which he was given a signature bond through the jail with the assurance that he would not reoffend. So right now, the bond is set based on the factors that he's a threat to the community. He is a threat to others in his family, and he has a high likelihood to reoffend. He's not qualified for a signature bond. Thank you. Next case, please.
Number 9, McDowell.
Come on.
This is State versus Curtis McDowell, accused of willful obstruction of an officer, 23 CR 8442G. Mr. McDowell, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Dodis. Any priors, Ms. Hardy?
This defendant has 8 arrest cycles in Georgia. There was a misdemeanor conviction for battery, family violence in 2016. The last arrest was November 30th of this year out of City of Atlanta for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. The recommendation from pretrial is a UJR level 3. Nothing further to report.
Mr. Dodis, is your client residentially challenged? Or is that Lithonia address a good address? I'm sorry, you're on mute, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, that address is his mother's house. Miss Brigitte Davis. That's a good address for him to receive mail. It is where he checks his mail, but he does not reside there. He is residentially challenged.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Yuda, I've read the warrant. Anything else to add?
Nothing else to add, Your Honor. We would just ask for a $1,500 signature bond through pretrial, no drugs, alcohol or weapons, and random screens in light of the previous arrest for marijuana and the fact that although the state did NOD the current marijuana count involved in this case, he did have both fresh and burnt marijuana on him.
Okay. Mr. McDowell, your bond is a $500 signature bond through the jail. This is the time to start visiting mom quite a bit because you would need to check your mail. And if you don't show back up in court, we will send you your next court date in the mail. If your mail is in Lithonia, you need to go visit mom every day to check your mailbox. Otherwise, if you don't show up in court, we will issue a bench warrant for your failure to appear and your signature bond will disappear. Thank you.
Judge, for the first case, possession of marijuana, that's already been NOD'd.
That would be correct.
Okay. Number 11, Sanders.
Is Corey Miles in the courtroom too?
Your Honor, I've waived Mr. Miles's presence for a medical condition, but I did have a chance to interview him. So I will be happy to address bond once we clear out the courtroom.
Okay. Darrell Dominic Sanders is accused of theft by taking on March 12, 2023. Accusation is 23 CR 8440D. Mr. Sanders, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Dotis. Any priors, Ms. Hardy?
This defendant has 8 arrest cycles in Georgia. Last arrest was August the 1st, 2017, out of City of Atlanta for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. There's a felony conviction in 2008 for a CWEP charge. He got first offender treatment and was sealed in 2017. The recommendation from pretrial is a UJR level 3. Nothing further to report.
Thank you. Ms. Hudak?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
This was alleged to have occurred in March of this year, where he was employed at the Dollar General at 2690 Metropolitan Parkway. They were counting the cash registers, and he was seen on surveillance camera in the manager's restricted area, removing $660 and walking out of the store without clocking out. We are asking for a $3,000 surety bond, no further contact with Ms. Gamble and Miss Brabor, R-A-B-O-R, who are both employees of the Dollar General, a stay away from all Dollar Generals, but particularly the one located at 2690 Metropolitan Parkway, and no drugs or alcohol while out on bond.
All right. Mr. Sanders, is your current address still at Henry Thomas Drive, apartment 55?
No, Your Honor, he provided me with an updated address, which
Okay.
that Henry Thomas address is no longer valid, so I'm happy to put his updated
Okay,
address in the
that would
chat.
be good. Bond is set at 3,000. It's a signature bond through pretrial services. He needs to report once a month, level 1, to stay away from all Dollar General stores, including the one on what was it? 2190.
2690 Metropolitan Parkway.
2690 Metropolitan Parkway. Metropolitan used to have a different name, so I know they keep changing this highway names. Okay. Next court date will be sent to your address at your new address that your attorney is going to provide us. Mr. Dotis, it would be best if you can put that in the chat to Miss Hardy at pretrial, as well as to Miss Grace, Miss Bridgewater, and that way we can assure that it's updated.
Will do, Your Honor. Thank you.
Otherwise, we'll blame you if he gets a bench warrant.
Understood, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Any other cases, Francois?
That's it. It's just the waive of appearance for number 10.
Okay, just to go down the calendar, before we get to the waiver case. Position 1, Buford was a surety bond, reset date January 11th. It was a $3,000 surety bond. Position 2 is a 500 signature bond through the jail. Position 3 is a 3,500 signature bond through pretrial, further notice. Position 4 is a 2,600 surety bond, reset date January 11th. Position 5 is a 2,500 surety. Position 6, 2,500 surety. And position 7 is a $368,000 surety. That all those cases are going to be further noticed to January 11, along with 23 CR 003-596Y. And Mr. Joyner also has a probation hold in 21 CR 007-613E. So maybe that will be addressed at that time too. Position 8, Karina is a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial for the notice. 9, McDowell's a $500 signature bond through the jail. And 11, Sanders is a 3,000 signature bond through pretrial. Francois, you have a great weekend.
Thank you. You do the same.
Okay.
Here, are you gonna
Happy
be
New Year.
on Monday?
Monday
Oh, no,
will
no, I'm
be,
sorry. You know what? That's felony. We don't have misdemeanor. We just have felony.
that you almost got Mr. Hudot concerned. Okay, yeah. Happy New Year. Take care.
Thank you. You too. Oh, what about number 10?
Oh, we're gonna address that right now. Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right, so we are addressing 23 CR 8439Y. Mr. Corey Miles is accused of theft by taking from July 19th, 2023. Mr. Miles is represented by PD attorney, Mr. Angelo Dotis. Mr. Dotis, you've sent the waiver of appearance to Ms. Bridgewater?
Yes, Your Honor, I emailed it to Ms. Bridgewater and CC'd Mr. Jordan.
Thank you. Ms. Hardy, any priors on position 10?
That defendant has 10 arrest cycles, felony conviction in 2014 for aggravated assault, 2018 possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. They got first offender on that and it was sealed in 2023. The last arrest was February 27th of 2020 out of Fulton for possession of MDMA, and it was no pros. Recommendation from pretrial is a UJR level 2.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Hudo,
Yes, Your Honor. So you did note that this occurred on July 19th, 2023. He was staying with a friend named Miss Alexia Barnes at 3804 MLK Drive. He was staying there for about a month. And then Ms. Barnes said that she had to ask for him to leave, took his key back. Then she went to work. While she was at work, he came and kicked in the door, took his few meager belongings and 2 Samsung TVs that belonged to her. This was captured on the apartment surveillance cameras. We're asking, in light of his record, for a $3,000 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, Miss Alexia Barnes, stay away from 3804 MLK Drive, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
okay. Mr. Dotis?
Yes, Your Honor. I did have a chance to speak with Mr. Miles. Corey Miles is 34 years old. He's a lifelong resident of the state of Georgia. As we heard from pretrial, I didn't hear any issues with probation violations or failure to appears. And it looked like his last case that was closed was back in 2014. I have a good contact number for Mr. Wiles, as well as a good address, which is correct on his booking report. I have a good email for him. He also has 2 sisters that live in the area that will be supporting him. He is also the father of 3 children, a 15-year-old who is in his custody, who's currently at his house waiting for him to come home, a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old. He is a he attended North Atlanta where he graduated. He's currently between jobs, but he does tell me he has an interview for a forklift operator at a warehouse coming up. Your Honor, as we heard, this case did occur back in July. I haven't seen the surveillance footage, but when I spoke with Mr. Miles, he did say that he did stay at this address, but that when he left, he took his property, and he says that he has the receipts for all of that property, and we will go over that once we have the opportunity. 2, he continues to maintain his innocence, but understands and has no reason to have any contact with the alleged victim or that address. So he's clear that he needs to steer clear if given a bond. Because of his financial situation and because he does have a son to get home to, we are asking for a signature bond.
Bond is set at 2,500. It's a signature bond through pretrial services level 1. He will report once a month. No contact with Alexia Bond. Stay away from 3804 Martin Luther King Drive, apartment 10L in Atlanta, Georgia. He actually has to stay away from the whole complex and needs to maintain a current address and contact information. No illegal drugs, no firearms. Next court date will be sent to, you said his address is correct?
Yes, Your Honor, the Whitehall Forest Court address.
Yeah, all right, that's good. Okay. So I think that concludes our calendar.
Happy
I
New
think so.
Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone. Take care.
Happy
Happy
New
New Year.
Don't start celebrating until tomorrow, well, Sunday.
Happy New Year, everyone.
You too, everyone. Be good, and we'll see you bright and early on Tuesday.
Happy
Take
New
care.
Year.
All right.
Happy
Thank you.
New
Alright.
Year.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.